Hello from Kuala Lumpur. Welcome back to Asia Rugby Live, Real Talk, Real Rugby. As we talk to some fantastic people, some fantastic guests tonight, and of course, guys. Hello, yeah. Now you can see my face. Of course, even though the Olympics is done, it's finished, but the spirit of the Olympics is still buzzing. People are still talking about the men's tournament, the women's tournament, especially the women's final, and of course, after an absence of 1 year, 11 months, rugby is returning back to the field, as we're going to talk about today. But of course, before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to Asia Rugby Live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and don't forget to press on the notification button should we have new content for you guys. And of course, if you want to read any latest rugby updates or rugby news, you can go on to asiarugby.com. And the latest news, Asia Rugby 7 Series 2021 updates is confirmed. And if you see the rugby calendar, the Asia 7 Series is confirmed soon. They're gonna release the date soon. But what is confirmed is the Asia Rugby Under 18s Girls Tournament, which is going to happen in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, which we have three special guests tonight who will be talking from a coach standpoint and also from a probably administrator standpoint. So we have Polo Perelini, the Terminator, who represented Samoa, dual sport, I would say, dual sport representative of Rugby Union and Rugby League. We have Nasser Hussain, the CEO of Rugby India, and Anastassiya Khamova, the coach of Uzbekistan girls under 18, who was also responsible, um, part of the team for the to put rugby back into the Olympics. Yeah, I still remember, Anastasia, you were with Bernard Lapase and also Jonah Lomu back then, back in, I can't remember what year was that, but yeah, good on you guys. Thank you very much
Brilliant,
for being with us
brilliant time.
tonight, three of you. But probably just to refresh our audience, ladies first. Anastasia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your rugby journey, how you got here now?
So I'm very pleased that I'm introduced Uzbekistan now because was I when I was a part of the Olympic campaign in 2009, I've never dreamed about this. Became a coach for the girls in Uzbekistan, but Olympic Games become the biggest tournament for rugby for all over the world, and I'm sure there is a big honor to take part there as a player or as a coach or as a medic. And when I watched rugby games in Olympic, it was almost the same feeling, proud and happiness as I felt in 2009 in Copenhagen. So rugby is a big sport and it is a big family, and I'm sure rugby adorns to Olympic Games.
So you become a coach, you've been shouting a lot, haven't you? That's why your voice
Yeah,
is
yeah. Sorry,
you're
sorry
losing
for
your
my
voice.
voice. Yes,
Anyway,
and it's very hot here.
for sure, it's summer, right? Yeah, anyway, thank you very much for being with us,
Okay.
Anna. The next person is Nasir Hussain. Nasir, as the CEO of Rugby India, I'm very glad that we get to speak to you tonight. I have some questions in terms of, because the population of India is so big, but you know what? Never mind. We'll put the questions later. We'll ask the questions later. But yeah, can you tell us, how did you get there? How do you get to become the CEO of Rugby India?
Well, it's been a long sort of journey in rugby. Started off as a player. Uh, didn't really have a choice, to be honest. My dad used to play, so I was arm twisted into taking up the sport. Obviously, not had any regrets because made the best friends, colleagues across the world playing. Uh, did a bit of volunteer work to start off, helping out with junior teams. Got an opportunity to coach one of the junior sides very early while I was still playing. Uh, got an opportunity to study abroad, did my master's in sports management while playing as well. So playing has always been sort of parallel to what I've been doing. And yeah, I mean, I came back, worked with a sports management company, got offered an opportunity to work in rugby, which was like a dream come true. It was a no-brainer sort of a decision. Very few people, I think, are lucky enough to convert their passion into a career, and I think I'm grateful for that. And yeah, started off as a development manager, moved up, and now in a management role, uh, looking after the affairs of rugby in India. And yeah, I mean, very privileged and grateful to be here, especially amongst legends of the game. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. And of course, I think probably in the future we should have one episode of talking about the pathway. Probably you can share your story in detail, because in rugby it's not about just being a player. It's about, you can be a ref, you can be an official, you can be just like yourself, a CEO of a union. So it can be a career, guys. Just to let you know. Anyway, talking about career, so this man has made rugby as a career for himself. Rugby union, rugby league, and now returning back to rugby union as a coach. And of course, if you know, back in the day, they call him the Terminator. So you know what? That says a lot. When someone calls you the Terminator. That there must be something, right, Apollo? So can you tell us a little bit of backstory? How did you get the name the Terminator?
It's there's a story. Well, it was back in '91 World Cup when Samoa played against Wales, and I put three guys in hospital by accident. It was a purely accident, and us Samoans are known for our tackle and physical sort of approach to the game, and yeah, I did apologise to the guys, and but then the following when we beat Wales at the World Cup in '91, and the following day, all over the press, they labelled me the Terminator. So my wife wouldn't call me that; she just calls me a termite, not rather than Terminator. Um, but it's not always a name that I'd like to be known. And look, I played rugby as a junior in New Zealand, grew up in New Zealand, but I ended up playing New Zealand age groups, under 20s for New Zealand, but then chose to play for Samoa at the World Cups, and that's where I took my path of playing internationally and play for Samoa. And then in early 90s, I chose to go rugby league because at the time, rugby union was still amateur and rugby league was handing out cash to play. And so I went to rugby league. I was there for 7 years and then went back to rugby union at South Sharks in the UK. And retired and went into coaching, and I found out that coaching was probably what I enjoyed the most, and now I'm just giving back. And being here in Dubai, it's really it's humble beginnings. I guess where you come from a place where rugby is predominantly the main sport, and to somewhere like Dubai, UAE is it's a very unknown sport, especially amongst the diverse population here. But we're trying to grow it within the indigenous of um, of the country, the Arabs, and trying to build up that the profile of rugby. But like anywhere around the world, it all starts with just sowing that seed into kids and trying to grow the game through creating pathways, and then hopefully play in internationals.
Oh, thank you for sharing that story. And of course, you play in a generation full of I would say full of superstars. You had Brian Lima there, the chiropractor. That's another nickname that intrigues me, to be honest. But yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, thank you very much, Apollo, for being with us tonight. And of course, tonight the focus, guys. is on the under 18s tournament. And of course, in Asia officially, we haven't had a tournament for 1 year, 11 months, 29 days. It's going to be 1 year, 11 months, and 29 days when this happened in 18th of September. So that's going to be exciting. So, Apollo, how excited are you going into the tournament as the coach of the UAE?
Oh, I'm really excited. I think everybody's excited. It's the first, like you said, it's been a long time. 2019 was the last time we ventured outside of the countries to go and play in an Asia tournament. And every year we always look forward to a tournament, but 2020 was just a write off. And so we are excited. I'm excited to go back to Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan was my first tour as a coach for UAE back about 5 years ago. So I'm really happy to go back there again, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the girls. I'm really excited for the girls and the game and the growth of the game from the women's perspective and female perspective can only grow from here. And the more we put the emphasis on the female game, and I think a lot of girls will look up and think, I want to be there. And so I'm excited as a coach, really excited, but I know that the girls are excited.
I'm just curious, are you coaching the boys as well?
I'm coaching pretty much everybody. I'm coaching the men's, coach the men's as well, and the women's, and so I spread myself pretty thinly across all the national teams. I have assistant coaches again and managers just to assist, but I guess it's more my voice is probably the main voice, and but I have really good assistants around me. So yeah.
That's good. That's good to hear. At least we have someone who is experienced in the field to command your assistant coaches. Anyway, moving over to Nasir, as an administrator from a union standpoint, after what we have, gone through COVID and lockdown and whatnot, will the tournament be able to spark interest of rugby in your country, particularly, Nasir?
Most definitely. I mean, the last 18, 24 months has been a real challenge globally. Not, I mean, obviously in India as well. And it has had a massive sort of impact on the work that we've been doing with growing the game. Yeah, so I think this tournament is going to be really well received. I mean, the excitement's all around. uh, we've seen it. I mean, we weren't sure how sort of the response we would get, but yeah, it's been overwhelming. We've received large number of entries to be part of this sort of campaign, and we had to actually turn away a few to try and limit it to a certain number going into it. But yeah, without a doubt, it has sparked interest. It is great that it's the first event. It's a women's event and it's a junior event. So that's, I think, fantastic from an Asia Rugby standpoint. And that this starts the sort of ball rolling in terms of more events happening and hopefully things getting back to normal going forward.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think, of course, with the population that you have, will definitely and hopefully will spark more interest of rugby, especially in your country, Nasir. And Anna, as the host nation, your players must be excited going into the tournament, huh?
Yes, of course. So for me, this competition will be the first as a coach. So and it's a big challenge for me, for the girls, and for the host union also. So become back after one more than 1 year break. Uh, Hopefully, everything will be fine, safe, and everybody enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And as the host nations, what are your expectations going into the tournament, Anna?
Okay, so, okay, of course, win the tournament.
For sure, just like Apollo, right? Anyway, Apollo, what about your players? Are they excited? Going into the tournament, and how's the preparation wise? How has it been for the team?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, if I go back about 4 years ago when we first started to try and get a national team for the under 18s, we kind of just selected what we had from what we had, and then 2 years ago we actually trialed and we had about 15 to 20 girls trial, and then this year we had 54 girls trial for 12 spots. so that it just shows the growth of the game and the excitement around rugby for the girls. So the preparation, the hardest thing that we've had to cope with is the weather. Dubai is not it's not the best place to be in during the summer because the temperatures are up in the 50s. It's been very, very hot these past few months, and trying to train in the conditions can be quite telling. So, but we've coped, and the girls are really, really excited.
Yeah, for sure. And Apollo, probably I can send you my CV because I can stand hot. Malaysia is really, really hot and humid. So anyway, yeah,
So
that's
you
cool to
will
hear for
be
sure.
very
And
prepared for our
we talk
temperature,
about the
for our
traveling
weather.
from
What
UAE
is the
to.
temperature in Uzbekistan, Anastasia?
It's about 42, 40,
Whoa,
44. It's
it's just as hot
almost.
as here.
Yeah, yeah. That's why. That's why.
So your girls are
Oh
conditioned.
wow.
Your girls are conditioned to be in that weather. Don't talk about India. India is all year round in the summer, right? That's- and talking about the Indian team, Nasir, how's the preparation of the Indian team? Just now Apollo mentioned he had a limited number. Of course, the population of India is huge. Do you have that limited number, or do you have like a lot of number to select from to represent India for the tournament?
I don't think we had a shortage in terms of numbers.
I'm
There
sure.
was enough more sort of players wanting to be part of this camp. It was more a question of us trying to limit it to a certain number. And I think similar to what Apollo said, we had 52 girls that were in our training camp at the start. Uh, we're down to 20 at the moment who are going through the drills, and our coaching team from South Africa is, as you can see on screen, really putting them through the paces. And yeah, it's going to be uh, it's not going to be easy, and that's what you want. I think the biggest challenge that we sort of faced as a union prior to this training camp was identifying these 52 players. Uh, Also, one must realize that uh, this is an under 18 tournament, and the last time these girls played any contact rugby, they were probably 15 years old. So, in the last 2 years, which is pretty much your prime sort of playing years, they did not get much game time. That was one of our concerns, was how well prepared, how experienced, how match ready would these girls be. But I mean, I'm happy to say that we were pleasantly surprised when these girls showed up at training camp and went through the first hard week. And yeah, and they're still going strong.
And I see two dogs on the field helping the girls out. They must be like pace setters or something. It's, it's just like the video, right? I, I don't think I'm seeing anything else, right? Anyway, yeah, Apollo, in terms of
Welcome to India.
Say welcome to India.
I know.
Hey, Nasser,
Will we
it's
be
just
seeing
like Samoa. That's what
dogs
Samoa's
in
like. He's always got a
Uzbekistan
couple of
field?
dogs.
I know. Will we be seeing something like that on the Uzbekistan fields? No, I reckon not. Right?
Uh, so we are very lucky. We had two tournaments under 18. In March, it was the first tournament, and in May, it was the second round of national championship. So I think we are very lucky that we have opportunity to have these tournaments. And after the training camp in the two biggest cities, I selected more than 50 players. And yes, this is our first training camp together in Tashkent. So it was 24 girls, and now we have third training camp in Tashkent, but it's only 16 girls here who will be representing the Uzbekistan team on the tournament.
Yeah. From the picture, you can see the sun looks just like the sun in UAE, very hot and
Yeah, very hot. Very
yeah, very
hot.
hot. Right? Anyway, talking about the tournament, right, Apollo? Can you share what kind of COVID protocols does the team have? As you know, you are bringing under 18 girls going to the tournament, and you need to instill all these protocols and probably you need to make
Yeah.
sure that the team culture follows the rules and whatnot. So what's the COVID protocol that you guys have?
Well, we had a really tough, stringent protocols at the start of the year where everybody had to sanitize. All your training equipment had to be cleaned before usage, and in between sessions they had to be cleaned. And all players in between every 5 minutes or in between drills used to clean their hands on and get sanitized. But as of late, it's kind of more relaxed now. I think because everybody's vaccinated, people sort of are now approaching it more confidently. The only thing that we ask our players is that if they feel they're a bit under the weather and not feeling too well, is that they stay away from training and go and get a test and try and stay away until that test proves that they are negative. So we're always cautious that when somebody's not feeling too good, that they step away from training in case they infect or they might be positive. So that's the only protocols that we currently follow is just to make sure that if you're not well, make yourself absent from training until proven that you're negative.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. At least the protocols are being put in place. How about Anna? How about your team? Is there a COVID protocol that's being put in place for the team?
Yes, of course. So uh, after the training, we have to wear the mask and keep the distance, social distance, and we trying to stay, on one place. I mean, um, not contact with other people. Uh,
Being in a sports bubble,
less
right?
contact with other people. Just yes, same.
Do you know if the tournament is going to be like that? Is it going to be in a bubble and other teams are not able to go out to Tashkent and basically uh, mingle with other people?
Uh, yes, I think it's a big. I mean, vaccination is on the way here. So almost 50% of the whole population are vaccinated. So everybody uh, I mean, want to be safe and health.
Mhm.
So that's why, yeah, everybody should wear the mask, and everybody do this.
Cool. And you know what? I just want to touch on development. And of course, this is for India as the CEO of Rugby in India. As you all know, India has a super large population. In fact, the second largest population in the world, and potentially India is a sleeping giant for rugby. what are the efforts to get more participation in rugby, Nasir?
So in terms of participation as a union, I think a strategic focus has been over the last 7 years has been just purely on grassroots level development, uh, and we've been lucky that all our efforts have paid off in terms of getting the sport included as part of the School Games Federation of India. And these would be for under 14, under 17, under 19 age categories, boys and girls. It's part of the university games as well, both sevens and 15s for men and women. So yeah, I think stuff like that has really helped uh, sort of support the Get Into Rugby program that we've rolled out. So a lot of the players that come through the Get Into Rugby program have an opportunity or a pathway to get into the under 14, 17, 19 age categories in terms of representing their club team or their district team or their state team. So the various sort of platforms that they could compete on and then move on from one grade to the next. So yeah, so that's I think been really, really uh, helpful for growing the game within India. And I think now we've kind of reached a stage where we are happy with the spread of the sport, where across 27 states out of 36 in the country, and I'm very pleased to say that every activity, event, tournament that we roll out has gender inclusion. So we ensure there are women that are given the same sort of platform as the men. And yeah, so at this stage, I think we're trying to support or further support our high performance programs, uh, be it our junior teams or our senior men and women representative teams.
You know what? When you mentioned high performances, I thought about one of your professional players, Rishi. You know Rishi? Yeah, he
Yes,
played
like in
professionally in
Japan.
Japan. So yeah, seeing that, is there like a goal for Rugby India to have more professional players like Rishi, playing in Japan and other professional leagues overseas?
Most definitely. I think for a player, that would be the ultimate sort of aim is to play at a higher level. And as a union, I think it's our duty to not only provide that opportunity to players, but also to our team as a whole, to give them additional playing exposure. And those are sort of things that we are exploring at the moment, which are with uh, our coaching team from South Africa, as to how do we get more game time, get more experience and exposure, be it individually for players or collectively as a team.
Oh, that's great. That's great, man. And of course, I think you guys are able to reach there one day, probably in because because of the numbers you have, and probably because of the programs that you have as well. I want to touch a bit on the Olympics, Anna, since Anna was part of the team that is responsible to put rugby back into the Olympics. And of course, Anna, you mentioned just now that you were happy to watch rugby in the Olympics. And overall, how do you think that that this has impacted you as a person, and how Olympics impacted rugby, Anna? Kiran, are you there?
And
Okay, there's a bit of delay. There's a bit of technical difficulty from Anna. Okay, never mind. I'll move over to Apollo. Apollo, of course, I'm sure as a coach you've watched the rugby in the Olympics recently, right? And how do you think, how can you comment on the level of rugby being shown at the Olympics?
I think it was really really great. It was just unfortunate that there wasn't as many teams as you would like to
Mm-hmm.
see on the stage, and I think because you're limited to the numbers that the Olympic kind of allow, it's not the same numbers that you would normally get in a World Cup. You didn't get. It's very. You don't get a fair view of the growth of the game and how many countries actually represent who play rugby. So But it's to have it in the Olympics. It's brilliant, and to have Fiji win two back-to-back gold medals. It was as a Pacific Islander, I was so proud, and it makes you really proud that Pacific Islands, of a small little island in the middle of the Pacific, could win two gold medals. So I was pretty proud of that.
And how do you reckon that the Olympics, rugby in Olympics, has impacted in the interests of rugby around the world?
I think it's put it on the map of global sports, and I think when you put a sport like that, like rugby, on the Olympics, it gets a wider audience. It gets people who wouldn't normally watch it, sort of switching on and saying, "Let's have a look." I thought the the matches were exciting, and the great thing about sevens is that it's an exciting game to watch. We're in a generation now of highlights where people only like to watch highlights. So watching a long game of rugby is not something that a lot of people are interested in. So to have the shorter format of sevens in the Olympics, where people get a snapshot of the game, it was brilliant. The games were outstanding, and those who represented their countries at the Olympics just recently can be proud of themselves to promote the game, and so it was really really good.
I've never seen rugby from that standpoint of view, and I think that was quite brilliant, Apollo. Thanks for that. And
Mm.
Anna, can you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
cool. Yeah. So
sorry.
I want to ask you. Of course, you were mentioning about you were happy about watching the Olympics. You were part of the team that was responsible in putting uh, rugby back into the Olympics. And how did it impacted you as a person? Of course, you felt happy, and to see rugby back in the Olympics, to watch all these top teams compete for the gold medal. How did it impacted you?
So for me, it was very powerful when it was the Olympic Games, and my girls, on the 18 girls, sent me the link to, as Apollo said, the uh, short moments with the big or huge tackles or nice tries, and they watch and they're looking for the games and just send me the, oh, it was a big try, it's a big tackle or good try, and it's very powerful. I mean, for the young girls, when they saw that the girls play on Olympic Games in rugby. I mean, maybe after 6 or 8 years they have opportunity to play there. So it's very important. It's very important and very good.
And of course, I'm sure you have aspirations to get Uzbekistan rugby into the Olympics one day, huh? For sure. Anyway, Nasir, how do you think the rugby in Olympics impacted rugby in India? Did it spark more interest? Did it get more people to probably watch the game or play the game?
I think it has been the inclusion of rugby in the Olympics has been, I think, one of the biggest milestones for the sport globally, and it has had a significant impact on at least on a union like India, where being an Olympic sport carries a lot of weight, and you suddenly overnight we got time of day from the government, from the sporting authorities, because just for the fact that rugby was an Olympic sport, it also, I think, it is one of the reasons why we have managed to get rugby as part of the school games, university games, taken seriously by the Ministry of Sport, is all because rugby is part of the Olympics. So I think, without a doubt, it has given the sport a major boost in a country like India, and I'm sure it would be similar amongst other developing countries as well.
Yeah, for sure. I know, right?
That's
And
true.
countries like UAE, countries like Uzbekistan will definitely learn a lot, especially from the Olympics. Probably this will spark a lot of interest and also participation. I think most nations wants participation, wants more rugby players, so that people like Apollo is spoiled for choices in the future, right, Apollo? Anyway, I want to talk about
Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
yeah. I think like going back to Anastasia saying that it really excited her girls, under 18 girls, and I think with rugby, with the women's game, especially the women's game. And it's more, I find I enjoy watching the women's game because it's more exciting. I just think it's so exciting that an outsider looking in and seeing girls play rugby, a physical contact sport, but not just a contact sport, but a more a collision sport. It turns heads. It really turns heads, and there's no sport like it on the Olympic stage, apart from boxing. But then in boxing, there's only just the fist, and rugby, it's everything. So I think from a global impact and going back, it's going to spring interest for girls and females to want to play that game. And it's definitely excited our girls.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thanks for that, Apollo. And we're gonna go back to the tournament. The under 18 tournament. So, Apollo, what do you reckon we can expect from the teams?
I think it's going to be very, very competitive. Like going back back to just playing rugby, competitive rugby, and in a competition form, tournament form is very, very exciting across the whole, not just for us, not just for the whole tournament, but for the whole of Asia, I think, and um, and I think it sets a platform for the rest of Asia to look up and say, yeah, we can do it. If these girls can, we can all get it.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of Nasir, in terms of the quality, what are you expecting in terms of the quality of play, the quality of rugby? Are you expecting anything, Nasir?
Uh, in terms of, I think, the standard and quality of rugby, I mean, we've seen the last few under 18 championships that have been held, and I think the players are, in terms of skill level and fitness level and understanding of the game, they're right up there. Uh, our girls as well, I think, would match that. What the biggest challenge we face is the size of the players. We kind of, for some reason, fall short on that. We are normally the smallest team in the competition, but our girls have the biggest heart. So I think they just need to work harder on certain things and do the best they can. And I think that's what we'd be all very proud of.
Yeah, for sure. Rugby builds character, as they say it. And Anna, talking about your team, right? Uzbekistan. What is the team culture or values that you are trying to create as part of the Uzbekistan rugby DNA?
Sorry, one more time, please. Sorry
Oh,
for.
what is the team culture or values that you are trying to create as part of the Uzbekistan rugby DNA? Team culture or values, what are the team culture or values that you try to instill to the players?
You mean to the girls?
Yeah, to the girls. Yep, yeah, yep. To your girls. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a big challenge for them, for sure, because some of them didn't play rugby maybe half a year ago. So, but it will be competitive for them, and will have a huge experience. I mean, in the future, and hopefully they will stay in a team and will be better, become better and better and better.
And Apollo, I wanna if we talk about development, if we talk about culture, team culture and whatnot, I'm curious with Apollo, what's your effective formula when running a rugby academy, Apollo?
Sorry, the well, sorry, when we asked the question about the development of culture and values, I think a lot of what we do in the academy is respect. We talk about values in the academy, and a lot of the values are about behaviours and how we behave as rugby players. But as regards to the rugby academy, one of the first things I always look at, and especially when building a rugby academy and developing a rugby academy, is your coaches. Is first finding the best coaches possible, and your coaches are not always your highly level threes. No, you're looking for really sympathetic, understanding teachers. Especially when you're building an academy, I have coaches who are first and foremost teachers, who are qualified teachers, and they coach for me, and they work with objectives. And when you're setting up academy, you got to have an objective of the reason why we set up an academy. And so when you're looking at, and I guess when building a high performance, you've got to look at your objectives of where's our starting point, where's our processes, and where's our end product. So what do we want in the end product? So yeah, it's, rugby academies and performance academies, they're similar, but just a different environment. One's environment of learning, one's environment of competition.
You don't really need like former All Blacks or former Wallabies or former England players to be in the academy, huh?
No, no, I don't have international players to encourage kids to come to the academies. We just offer a way of solving their problems and their pains. Kids have pains as well, and some of their pains are their skill levels poor, and all they want to do is learn. And so, if you can offer a product that says, "I can improve you and I can develop you," then that's how you develop a good development. Well, an academy culture.
And of course, culture is key, right?
Yeah, behavior is key.
For sure. Okay, guys, thank you very much. For sharing all the experience, for sharing all your wisdom tonight. Apollo, Nasir, and Anastasia, you guys have been great. And of course, good luck to your respective teams. Good luck to the UAE, India, and also Uzbekistan team going into the tournament. I will cheer for not your all the teams every time when you play. You know what, and safe travels, Polo, and Nasir, are you going to Tashkent to watch the tournament?
Is that for me?
Yeah, Nasir, are you going to are you going, of course Apollo
I'd
is
love
going.
to.
He has
I'd
no
love to.
choice, he needs to go.
I'm still not sure as yet, but I'd definitely love to be there, and let's see how things go.
Okay, guys, you know what? Safe travels for Apollo and probably Nasir. If you go, and Anastasia, stay safe. Hopefully, one of your teams will win the tournament. All the best, and good luck for the tournament. I'm looking forward to watch the tournament from afar, probably streaming on Asia Rugby. And guys, thank you very much for being with us tonight, and hopefully see you guys again. Probably after the tournament, we can wrap things up, or probably you can analyze some of the plays, some of the things that probably Apollo did with his team, or probably Anastasia did with her team in the future. And guys, this is Asia Rugby Live. I'm Rod. See you again. Goodbye and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.